Hi, Sindre. How
Hey.
are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Hello, Sindre.
Hey.
I just heard from Eloris now. I don't know if you heard it too. He's added Snowpack support. He just needs help publishing it.
Oh, cool.
Yes, together with source map, together with individual file compiling, together with a bundler that is based on ES build, so also extremely fast. I'm very happy with it.
Nice.
Cool.
Do you want to show a demo on screen now, maybe?
Yes, I can do that right away, straight away. Let me see how to share my screen.
Yeah, let me see if I have to do something. Zoom is kind of confusing when it comes to screen sharing.
Yes, I have here a button, share screen. Let me click on it.
Okay, what happens now when you click? Maybe I have to stop sharing. I stopped sharing now.
Okay.
I think you might need to allow participants to share
Yeah.
the screen as well.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Multiple there. I think now it should work.
Okay, I will click on share screen. Yes, now it works. Perfect. My entire screen. So let's go. Share. Okay, now let's quickly switch over to. Okay, well, this is actually the source. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, okay, excellent. So let's go to the command line. Well, this is still working. Okay, let's do a build. That's it. Less than 2 seconds.
Nice.
Let's see the results. So this is X3. It's not very known program, so never mind. So
it's just
here we are.
It's a browser for your file system, basically.
Yes. So here we have the build subdirectory and static. So in build, I have my index.html. Inside of index.html, I have here script type module static uproot.js.
Yeah.
If I go to static, I see here one single JavaScript file, 45K, so it's minimized. The included Imba source is actually 70K.
Okay.
If I just look at the inside of it, you see this is the minimized output. Now let's see if this also works. So let me go back to the command line and start my web server. Okay.
Can you edit the code too? Can you change something in the code and see? Let's see how fast it's refreshing.
Okay. Yes, indeed. I will do that straight away. Let me just, boom, here's one screen. Now here's the second screen. Let's load the source uproot. Here we are, edit. So let me change something in. Where's my reset code? That there was a reset line somewhere.
Yeah, def reset 61.
Yeah, indeed. Reset me. Okay, but first let's go here. So this, I'll just continue clicking here. Now reset me. And if I now click here on the browser, the left screen will save in the background.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. This is the build. This is not the development. Hold on. Bad warning. So let's go back to the command line. Sorry, that was not my intention.
Oh yeah, you ran the. I see now.
Yeah, def. Now, start. Christ's sake, I keep.
Yeah, I keep mixing up that too. It's very confusing.
Yeah, sorry. So
No
here we are.
Yeah.
So let's see if this works. So here you can see reset me, it says. Okay. Now let's go back to the source. Instead of reset me for this demo. If I now click here, pay attention. That was it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Amazing.
That's very cool.
And now let's go back. Let's go back. And again, I'll tap, you will see that. Boom. There we go.
And could you inspect the sources now in the localhost window just to see the web module stuff, if it's actually using web modules or not? If you go to a network.
Yeah. It says forward type equals module. Can't you see that? There, yeah.
Yeah, I know that, but yeah, it's
here
even
here
pulling in the web modules.
uproot
Yeah,
Imba.
that's awesome.
Here we are. And even more, I will just upload this to an online source map visualization tool. Here we are. Custom, choose file. Indeed. Well, here we are already. So let's go to static uproot. This is the build version. It will not have any, indeed. This does not have any things. I just need to disable the bundling. It's just 2 seconds. Give me a second.
No worries. Take your time.
Where do I have the? Well,
Alexander, are you recording now?
Yes, we have cloud recording. So everything you say, you should hear a voice when you join the Zoom. This meeting is being recorded or something.
So here in the package.json, I will change bundle to false.
Yeah.
Save. Now, if we go back to the command line and I do a build, it will skip the very last step, which is the bundling. So it will leave all the different source files individually sitting there. Let me see if that is indeed correct. Yes, cool. Here we see static uproot is a 3K of JavaScript. Tags, we have 2K and 5K for add and logo.
Yeah.
And here we have the imba.js. So if now we try to visualize that, choose file, open. Fuck. Again, another try. Hold on. I think I just missed something. Where is my?
But we did see it in the.
Yeah, we saw it in the first one. We get the point. It works.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Actually, it was very nice to show over here as well. I'm just wondering if what was that called? Source map. Yes. And now let me see where that was supposed to be. The source map, that is install option source map. Okay. Install options, where are you? That's why I have deleted that section. So that's the reason.
No worries, it's fine.
Okay, well, if you can start with the actual meeting, that is just fine.
No, we have started with
sorry for hijacking.
no worries.
It's very cool.
Thank you very much. So with regards to the publishing, like, would you mind if we actually let me share my screen? Would you mind if we put it on the Imba repository organization? If you just
of course I would be happy. I mean, actually, yes, as long as I have edit rights, it's fine, because I just need to continue changing the things. So right now I have done everything I wanted except for one thing. I still want to have an automatic inspection of the HTML file with some DOM in node.js. I think I will be using Cheerio to check which kind of scripts are there, and from there start the tree with all the JavaScript, with all the compiling. So that would be the final step.
This is amazing, great job, and I really look forward to trying this out. Thanks a lot, and just let me know what your GitHub username is, and I can.
It's Euloris. On GitHub, I am as Euloris.
The same like this name?
Yeah.
Yes, but I haven't published anything, so you're not going to find much. Yeah, everything in lowercase.
Yeah, but please publish it so we can get it out. Amazing.
No,
so
he should wait for you. Like, you should give him access, and then we should create an Imba Snowpack repository on the Imba organization.
Yeah, you can also.
I'm a little bit sorry to say, but Sindre, I will be getting on your nerves on the coming days or weeks. Well, actually, now I finished my holiday, so it's going to be a little bit harder. But I will be getting on your nerves, because I really need to have some kind of interface to your compiler documented, or somehow a little bit more standardized, or made a little bit more official, because right now I was really just scraping out all the different options by inspecting source code line by line.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah, definitely. And I also I've actually started the last 2 weeks cleaning up some of it. I just published versions it depends on what you need from the API. But we have,
yeah, I will get back to you. And yeah, you of course, after you inspect my Snowpack plugin, you will see what features I'm using, and yeah, you will then tell me, no, you may not use that because that is internal code, etc., etc.
Like everything is internal code. I think you should be able to use it. We just need to formalize some of it, I guess. That's very cool. It's awesome. Like, to be honest, I think the building step has been one of the greatest pains so far. Like still for Imba 2, because we use Webpack somewhere, use the Imba rollup thing, and none of it really works really well. So if we can focus our efforts behind the Imba Snowpack way to do it, it would be awesome. Have you tried,
excellent. Looking forward.
Have you tried including any other, like, is it trivial to use all sorts of external JavaScript modules with Snowpack? Or does it sometimes falter because it cannot compile?
Well, Snowpack today has 2 official bundling plugins. The first one is Webpack, which I haven't looked at all because really a source code is a mess. It's a huge dinosaur. It's very old. It has quite a lot of different things, issues that I really don't like. I was very positive minded when I saw that they were also using Parcel, but when I saw that they did not support Parcel version 2, but they were still stuck with Parcel version 1, I abandoned that idea as well. And then I found out about ES Build. ES Build is not a plugin. It is just something that assembles all the free-flying JavaScript code and puts everything into one single file and minimizes that. And it does an excellent job of it. But it has 0 support for any other kind of files. So this is just dealing with JavaScript, nothing else, CSS or anything else. Now, going back to Snowpack through its rollup backend has support for all these other things. So you could include CSS and post CSS and Sass and whatever you like. But that, you have to configure it with rollup plugins.
Yeah. So I think since we're adding the style syntax in Imba and improving it over time, I think for us and for the users of Imba, all these CSS and LESS and Sass plugins and stuff won't be important. But I think one of the challenges still with Rollup, as far as I can see, is that it's a little bit more, it requires the external modules you use to actually be compliant to not CommonJS, but the module, what is it called again? Like the new module system? ES modules.
Yes.
So that's one of the reasons I actually changed back to using Webpack for Imba.io, because I included some sort of library, I think it was Mousetrap or something, and then Rollup just didn't want to compile it because it used the combination of import and require. I don't fully remember, but it's very cool. So you can actually, in Imba Snowpack, we can actually use Rollup or ES Build if you want to.
Yes. Well, right now, I just decided myself for ES Build. I have absolutely no clue with what kind of limitations we will run into later on, because right now, the only code from Imba that I used for testing was, indeed, the test code, nothing else. So it's just 10, 20 lines, not more than that. I'm looking forward if you guys or somebody else can actually use some production code on it and see if that actually works. I'm not expecting it to work, because as any kind of yearly project, it will have still 10,000 bugs that we have to discover.
Yeah, and a cool test would be for us to either this week or the next week actually rewrite, like start using Snowpack for the Imba.io site, like the new documentation site.
That would be nice.
For that development part, because then we will probably run into quite a few of the problems that people will
so I went ahead and created a new repository for that, so that it's empty now. You should have access to it, Dolores. I don't know, can you guys see my screen with the GitHub page now?
I see your Imba Snowpack screen, yes?
Yes, so you should have access to that repository. It's empty, you can push, and you should be able to administrate anything on that repository now. So,
excellent.
Cool.
Excellent. Okay, I need to check. Do I get a notification probably about it?
Yeah, you have to accept it actually. It's like a pending invite.
Yes,
so
yes,
I can't
yes,
add
indeed.
You.
Yes,
if you accept
I have received it.
admin. Cool.
Okay.
Great.
I will do that after this meeting, and if I run into any kind of problems, I ping you back on Discord.
Yeah, so I don't know the details about Snowpack publishing, but if you have to publish it with npm or something like that, that's super easy to figure out. And yeah.
Well, I was running into problem with the Pika stuff, with the Pika pack.
Pika pack.
Yeah, okay, Pika.
Yeah, well, okay, but we will take that offline.
Yeah, let's do that. It sounds good. I really look forward to trying this out, and I'm especially interested in some stuff that didn't work nicely with rollup. So at least with the default Imba rollup. So this is going to be fun to play around with.
Okay.
Good job.
Thanks.
So very cool. I hadn't actually heard about ES Build before now. It looks very cool.
Well, I was very much impressed when I saw it, really.
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
So these are the topics remaining that we're going to cover. And we really should try to stick to 4 p.m. I have to go to my stairs workout. It's a religion, so I have to go. I'm honest. I'm going to leave after that. But is there anything else, Bohuslav? Do you want to cover any other topics, or Eric? So just so we can get through the topics for the day, or is this good enough for now?
My mic is silent, but I'm asking questions on the chat.
Amazing. So no new topics then. These are the ones we go through.
No, I think if there are some, we can just take it on the chat.
Sounds good. So the VS Code extensions in there, could you do a demo on that or walk us through what's changed now, or did you push it out? What's the status?
I have updated the. I actually pushed out a new version today. I'm not sure if it's. I'll see. Yeah, first I can just talk about the changes. So most of the changes are seemingly like they're behind the scenes, and I've actually had to remove a few completion stuff until a later version, because I haven't had time to restructure all of them. But we've moved on to using the semantic token API from VS Code, and I've updated the Monarch grammar that we use to do a really fast parse of the Imba files and analyze and mark things as variables and read-only variables and static and members and all that stuff, to create more consistent outlines for the documents, and also have much more fine-grained and performant semantic token highlighting, which is great. And this new version of the grammar, I've actually moved that away from Imba document and directly into the Imba repository under Imba/program, which will get a few more features later to kind of match the TypeScript language server structure. That means that, so I had to like hastily pull things together today and publish the new version of the VS Code plugin. But most of the things that have now been created and added allows us to add much better completions and stuff down the line. So much better, we have much better knowledge of whether the cursor is inside of a selector or a property or a class or a variable and all that sort of stuff. But I haven't started utilizing, maybe like I've started utilizing 10-15% of that potential. But already it should be much more stable than the previous version of the VS Code plugin. And especially diagnostics, like there won't be squiggly red lines jumping everywhere in your documents while you're editing. And the highlighting and type checking that we do via TypeScript is also much more like structured now. So it should be easier for us going forward to make it really solid. But yeah, it's kind of a sloppy release because I felt I had to release a new version right now before the meeting. But you should definitely test it out and start using it. And I'll be adding a bunch of issues to the VS Code Imba repository after this meeting and in the coming days, just starting to consistently report any type of highlighting problem or any sort of problem with the VS Code plugin so that we can actually have it all in one place and I can start to pick these issues. Let me see, I just need to find the meeting notes. So yeah, I think that's about it about the plugin. We have already done a kind of walkthrough a long time ago. I could do one now as well, but I don't have a test project ready. But
yeah, it would be good, like just to see some of it in action. But yeah, it's up to you, really.
Yeah, maybe we can go through the other topics first, because it could so easily just become, since we don't have much time, it could become a stumbling and bumbling session for 40 minutes where I try
Okay, let's get back to it then later. So the other thing is the 4K stars on GitHub. It's going to happen soon, and we should try to celebrate that somehow. I recommend sending swag to people. That would be nice. Like preferably.
Then we first need Eric to design some killer T-shirts with the mascot.
So what do you think, Eric?
Sounds good.
That would be very cool.
It sounds good. I can do that.
Cool.
Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And then yeah, so Eric, do you have like some pain points on GitHub that like haven't been addressed or are still like yeah, what are current pain points with Imba 2?
I honestly haven't faced many.
That's a good sign. That's a very good sign.
Yeah. I've been using it for several projects, not massive, but a lot of front end stuff, which is what I do. And I really don't encounter many issues.
It's cool. I also think that I wrote this down before the meeting that I think we should shoot for a public beta at least before September, like maybe before the last week of August or something. And then we can, like, when we pick data, then we can start to really do good release change logs and stuff for every release and try to
so I didn't get that, Sindre. So could you repeat the potential time frame there? Like with August, it went a little bit fast.
Like in 3 weeks or so, like aim to get it to a beta status before the 1st of September.
Okay.
But it's kind of just a name, like it's a beta instead of an alpha. But to me, it should signify that we officially start like pointing people towards using Imba 2 instead of Imba 1.
But aren't we already doing that? Isn't that?
Yeah, but also like change the site to actually be the Imba 2 site and then add a link back to the old Imba 1 site and those kinds of things.
Yeah, so I can try to set up some, maybe we should do that, like have a v1.imba.io so it works for people who want to stay there.
That would be cool.
So when we start doing the beta, like what's going to be different compared to what's been happening the last few months?
I think one thing is that we should like start actually, I should start talking to people about it. Like we can then, in my opinion, post things to Reddit. We could possibly try to get it on Hacker News, like it's in beta. Just try to get some buzz around it to expose it to more people, I guess, which will help us find more of the problems. And I think it would also be a nice like official point where we can start to just rapidly use it in our internal stuff, like in Scrimba. And then we will, face more of the problems with hydration and server-side rendering and stuff like that, because obviously there's still a lot to do before I would consider it a final 2.0 version. But as Eric said, I think it is already much better than Imba 1. Like, there's not that many things remaining. I would never recommend someone to use Imba 1 instead of Imba 2 right now, I think.
Yeah, I've stopped sending the imba.io link. I just share v2.imba.io now.
Yeah.
Every time I mention Imba for the first time to someone new, that's the link I send them.
Yeah.
So with regards to the packaging stuff, Imba v1, so are you doing that this week?
Yeah, I'll try. I have a lot on my plate, but that's the goal, to actually publish version 1, like Imba 1 router and a few other packages that actually uses the Imba 1 extension and can be used in perpetuity while you still use Imba 2 code in the same project. It is kind of a clunky transition, this thing, because it's a second version of the language with that many changes. If it had a totally new name, things would be easier, but I think we should stick with Imba still.
Yeah, we shouldn't change the name. Imba is good. The name is fine. It works very well. Cool. So if there's not anything else related to the beta status, then we can move on to the next topic. Yeah, so a bug squashing party, for those who don't know what that is it's like normally on a weekend where people come together early in the morning, and the only thing you really do for that day or 2 days, depends on how long you want to have it, is fix bugs. So we have like lots of issues open on GitHub. It would be good to get more of them resolved. One thing I've been thinking about is adding like auto close issue thing, which closes stale issues, but it seems kind of bad to just close issues automatically. So I don't know, what do you think about that?
How about the triage having the ability of placing labels on issues? At least if you cannot close them, at least you can mark them.
Yeah.
We could label them and maybe also label them before a potential bug squashing party.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you've looked through all the issues, but I don't think there's that many. There are quite a few issues that I could probably answer and that we could close, but I'm not sure if there's that many consistent like bug reports for version 2. I know there are a few that Eric has reported that I am kind of have scheduled to fix, but I think the majority of the issues are kind of no longer applicable.
So what do you think about installing like a GitHub action or some add-on on GitHub that auto closes stale issues? Because we do have issues that are really old, like all the way back to 2015 in some cases.
We have very few issues, like in general, so
it
shouldn't be that.
163.
Yeah, but we don't have that many new issues, so I think it should be a relatively easy one-time job to go through the old issues and either label them or close the ones that we think are no longer applicable. Don't you agree?
Yeah, we could do it that way. Someone has to do it then, we could do it small drips, a little bit here and there.
I can go through and try to deal with most of them. I can do that later today or tomorrow, actually.
That would be really good.
But some of them will be like, there are feature requests or enhancement like ideas that are still relevant, but like were posted in 2015. And those types of issues I think we should close, because if the feature or the idea is important, it will come up again in the next few months.
Yeah, so someone is going to ask about it again if it's important.
Yeah.
Cool. So next topic is the Imba router. So you talked about it a little bit last time, but to be honest, I really don't remember. So Could you summarize what's up with the Imba router?
Nothing else than that it has been included in the Imba package, and that you should be able to. I'm not sure if I've enabled it right now, but if you look at the Imba IO example, if you actually manually require the Imba router, then it is available to your tags. So it is just the Imba 1 router with the obvious fixes needed for version 2. And it's at least it's working fine for Imba IO, and it will work fine for most basic pages, I guess. But again, it isn't documented yet. That's one of the next parts of the official documentation, is to also document the router. And yeah.
So for seeing an example how to use the Imba router, it's a matter of looking at the document generation code.
No, it's more a matter of looking at the Imba IO example, but you can also, I have a long time ago created a small, like a few casts on it on Scrimba, which is about the Imba 1 router, but it has essentially all the same properties like route to and route and sticky and yeah. So maybe Alexander could find and post the links to that one, or I can do it. So a combination of watching that playlist and seeing how it's used in Bio, like the V2 branch, should help you along. Let me see. I'll post the link here. You can post it on there, and I can also post it on the. Yeah, you added it. Perfect. So yeah. Alexander, you're muted now, I think.
Sorry, I was saying, let me add the links.
Yeah.
I can make it a link. There. That should be a link.
Yeah.
Cool. So I should also try to use the router. To be honest, I've been using Express, and on the Express side, yeah, things just work because of the requests, the HTTP and so on. But on the client side, I've just been using the window and what's it called? The path name and origin or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's not so clean. So yeah, so the next topic is the keyframe, and I don't really know much about that. So maybe Bohuslav, could you mention what it's about, or can someone?
It's essentially, we have an issue about it that I've assigned to myself and that I will take on. It's essentially just, since we use the @ symbol for CSS for style modifiers now, it kind of collides with keyframes and font face and a few other CSS properties.
So the syntax is colliding with the keyframe.
Yeah, so we currently don't have a good way of creating keyframes in CSS and to valid CSS. So we just need to make that work. And also, I'm going to tackle the thing with multi-line CSS values as well, which Eric posted, that I've also run into myself. So.
Cool.
But I do think that the things I need the most help with now in the coming weeks is the documentation, I think. Just improving small bits here and there and giving brutal feedback on what parts are just really not explained well at all and what parts needs more explanations and things. So
I can be brutal with the feedback, no problem. My first item on the wish list, is there a way of getting this in a big form factor, like everything on one page, or just 5 pages for the 5 sections or something like that? I hate clicking through all the different subsections.
Yeah.
So is it especially to be able to do search like on the whole page and stuff? Or
Well, not really searching. I would just like to read everything from A to Z as if it was a PDF document or a huge HTML page, because there are some items which are repeated, which I don't mind, but I hate when I click on slots and I don't find any explanation from slots, but actually I remember having seen it somewhere else, and then I have to search for it. It's a bit annoying for me.
Yeah, I know what you mean exactly, Loris. I love having a PDF like for proofreading, just so you print out. It doesn't matter if it's 96 pages. Who cares? As long as you have everything, you can just take that with you. You can go sit somewhere for a few hours and then read everything from start to finish, or split it up in chunks.
Yeah.
So a PDF would be amazing, because then you could either read it on the tablet or something, or print it out on paper and just go through it line by line.
Yeah, that should definitely be possible. I think you still need to focus on the content as well, but it shouldn't be hard to add a different view that shows everything in the same in one page.
Yeah, you can do that on HTML as well, on one single HTML page, and we can then transfer that to PDF. The advantage is that you can format it according to your screen real estate.
Yeah. And I also think we should implement search on the documentation, like good search like the Tailwind documentation has. But that's a different kind of feature, I guess.
Yeah, search would be really nice, like at least for highlighting parts. Like let's say the example that I've been using was the data binding stuff. If you could just type in data binding or topic X and then get to a really good summary or good overview of the exact thing. And even aliases, looking up aliases would also be nice to just search. If you're trying to figure out, okay, I need this, or what was this alias again? And then you just type it in and then it shows up.
Yeah.
Because you kind of have to click, I think you have to click 2 or 3 times now if you want to look at all of the aliases.
Yeah, it is. We should definitely, it's not that hard to create a really simple kind of search that only searches in all the headlines, all the title sections of the various markdown parts, and then just do a full auto completion list there where you can click to go to any section.
Yeah, but like the Tailwind search is kind of nicer, isn't it? Doesn't it show you like more previews?
I mean, a first step is it's like much better than not having search, like being able to just press a button, write a title, and quickly to be able to jump to that section.
And we could also use Google for that. We could just put it into Google. Like when you search there, just it sets the site to Imba.
Now, another question, is it just me, or do others also witness that when you look at the live examples, sometimes they do not render? You have to refresh the page a couple of times, or you do some other things.
That's actually probably the most important thing to fix first. It's that I don't really understand what it is, but it has to do with how we install and update the service worker or something. It doesn't happen for me in development. So it might be some sort of like, I'm not sure, a weird setting somehow, but that's definitely something we need to look into. I'm not sure if we've filed the issue for that. If not, then I can add one now. So, no, I don't think we have one.
Something else, the code highlighting works only with Imba code, but when you have some other, and JavaScript, of course, but when you have some other code, I think you have one line that is a command line, and that is invisible. It does not get rendered because the highlighter is not supporting that.
Yeah.
I wanted to create a bug about it. I forgot, sorry.
Then no problem, I'll add it now. So certain code languages are perfect. It's very good to bring up these bugs and put them into the repositories. because the way I work right now is that I just have a ton of like hundreds of notes myself and adding to-do lists every day, and I'm not really working from the issues. But when I trust that we have most of the things in the issues, then I hope it will be easier for me to like force myself to just go through issue by issue. But yeah. So
cool. So are there any other topics like is there anything we missed? Bohuslav, Eric?
I just have a little question, if I'm allowed.
Yeah.
Slots. I was trying out some examples with slots, and that works perfectly well as long as you stay in the Imba environment. But I tried to use slots also from HTML page, and that did not work.
No, yeah, it's not actually using slots like the slot spec. It's using, we talked about that in the previous meeting. I think that it's kind of bad that we're actually hijacking the slot tag for what is essentially a defined specification. But the way slots work in Imba is that it's a totally an internal thing. I think it is in most languages, like in Svelte and Vue as well. But
okay, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So is there anything else now?
So Eric mentioned that the event modifiers and triggering need help in the docs. Let's add that link for that.
Event. What did he say?
I think event modifiers and triggering need a lot of help in docs.
Yeah, like maybe more documentation, essentially. Oh, I also see there's some highlighting issues here that I will push a fix for.
Nice. So do you have some changes that are local and you haven't pushed out in a while, or is this the latest?
No, it's actually not local, but I didn't include that highlighting fix in the latest the version I deployed of Imba. It's only on master, so I might publish a new alpha later today or something.
Cool. So I forgot to ask you, Eloris, I think I'm gonna take and make a short video from the Snowpack demo you did to make that a separate video. I hope that's okay, since it's part of the recording.
Of course, feel free to do as you like.
Thanks. I think it would be nice for people. I'm gonna try to go back to the previous recording Sindre did on the CSS syntax changes. I think it was 2-3 meetings ago where you did a walkthrough. It would be nice to also get that in separate videos, so people don't have to watch the whole like 1 hour just to see that part.
Yeah, but I still think we could definitely do that. But I do think that it's important now to make sure these concepts are explained well and thoroughly in the documentation and that they're understandable. Because I think there's a lot of the documentation still that is really lacking. Like concepts are not really explained in the correct or the natural order, or as we talked about earlier, like the documentation or explanation about slots can be 2 different places and talk about different things in the different places. Like structuring the documentation is actually really hard, and it requires a lot of work and discussions, I think.
So I'm just reading Eric's comment. So maybe Eric, you can explain what you mean yourself, if you have a mic, just so I don't misphrase you.
No, I'm just saying the events modifiers and stuff are things that I still need to learn, like I need to understand. So I don't see any explanation for like what prevent is and does and stop is and does, and there's a little line, but like for somebody that's never used it, it's like, how do I use it? What is it for?
Yeah.
So even simple things like adding, when you see the comment below there, calls prevent default on event, even simple additions to the documentation, like changing the prevent default to a link that actually takes you to prevent default on MDN, that shows a good explanation of what prevent default does. Things like that will improve the documentation a lot.
I actually disagree. Like I know like we have different views on this. Like I tried to raise it a while back when we were talking in the chat, and it's like, yes, it looks aesthetically fine now when you look at it. It looks very nice, but like if you try to look at it from a perspective for someone who's learning the language, having all of these random MDN links, it's like, yes, if you're used to sitting and reading documentation all day long or on
I'm talking about as a first step. Like obviously it's better to have our own pages for each modifier with a thorough explanation.
I think like a short summary, just like either right before prevent goes a really long way, and that it provides much more value than a link to MDM. That's just my opinion for the random person looking at it.
I definitely agree, but it's also a lot more work. And I would be happy. I would be really happy if you could do that for the event modifiers you know about. Because just from reading up on MDN, you should be able to write these one paragraph explanations of all the core modifiers at least, like prevent, stop, capture, once, things like that. And that would be extremely helpful.
Yeah.
So if you're up for that part, then that would be brilliant.
Yeah, I'm definitely up for it. The main challenge is time, as you also know. So
yeah.
But I can keep that in mind.
I have some time challenges as well.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah, I think Mozilla like MDN links, it is a good step in between, or even in combination with a reminder that JavaScript documentation also applies to Imba at times is helpful.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, as long as I agree that it's better, like eventually I don't even want to link to MDN for any CSS properties. Like I would love to have a really good documentation for where you can just jump to any CSS property and see a decent demo of it and with tips and stuff like that. But to be realistic, like if we want to make the documentation as good as possible before the beta, let's say 1st of September, then we will need to do these shortcuts. And I don't have time at all to create these really good explanations of all those parts. So either I need help to create explanations, or we can all go in and sprinkle with links to MDN and other quicker things that will definitely help people who read the documentation.
Actually, I like the MDM links, but I would prefer to have them as a kind of a footnote or in a separate section as a kind of a reference material at the bottom of each page, some further reading.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna push this too much, but I think like going the MDN route is like, we're taking a shortcut. Like, it's we're not getting that much from that little shortcut. It's probably gonna get more users turned off by Imba, or they're gonna have more issues than what it's like the value it's providing.
I don't agree at all, but like MDN it has taken years and years, like many man years to create the documentation explanations on MDN. And some of the concepts that are in Imba, it does compile to JavaScript. So a lot of the concepts are the same, like regular expressions. Instead of writing our own regular expression guides, it's much better to be able to release Imba 1 month earlier and then link to that guide and say, like, for further reading about regular expressions and their features, check out the guide on NBM or this and that.
At the end of the day, like, it's really up to you, but I think like, I don't think it's a good approach, the one we're taking now with the MDN. And consider, like, if you're a Python developer and you want to use Imba, you're not used to...
Just 1 second, sorry. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so consider let's say you're coming from Python and you aren't really used to writing JavaScript. You haven't actually written any JavaScript. Yeah. And then you're reading the Imba docs and you keep seeing this links to MDN, and I just think this is my opinion, so I'm not going to push it too much, but I think it's bad approach.
That is exactly my case. I have zero experience with front-end developing, but I'm very proficient with Python, and I can tell you from my own experience, I keep doing alt-tab to MDN and to all the other Google pages to get a little bit more background, because every single term is something new for me, and I don't understand what's the meaning of it. So I keep reading quite a lot.
Yeah. And again, Alexander, I'm not sure if we're discussing the same thing, because I'm definitely not arguing that it wouldn't be better in a perfect world to have great long explanations of all the concepts, obviously. But it's a huge job to create good documentation. Like I've only started to realize that in the last few months. And
yeah,
while
but
I
like
also create like the all of the language and the tooling, then I could definitely need some help on the documentation, especially from someone like you.
But what's preventing us from delaying until December? Like, why can't we delay just to get? Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
Yeah, but is it about delaying it so that I can get the time to also write all the remaining documentation, or should we try to get it a little more popularized so that we can get contributors, other contributors who are good writers and who know how to write good documentation, and then have them supply it and like slowly,
I agree with that,
improving the documentation.
Like I'm just thinking out loud. Like, what you have stuff to do, I have stuff to do. Why can't we push the beta so far as possible until we get the documentation nailed down? If documentation is really that important, why don't we push?
But why should we, if we like can't make the documentation good enough? Like you see all these other languages like Elm and Svelte, all the other languages, like they're not that well documented.
To be honest, I disagree. Like the Svelte docs are really good. That's just my opinion.
But the problem is that Svelte is, that was a poor example for me, that Svelte is not really a language. Like it is basically JavaScript. So they can rely on all the previous known knowledge of JavaScript. But if you were a Python developer and jumped to Svelte without reading any MDN or other JavaScript sources, then you would be totally helpless by going to the Svelte site.
I don't think we agree on this. Like, I think you can walk through I don't even know if are they even linking to MDN in Svelte? Like
they're just expecting that you know JavaScript. They're not explaining operators and classes and regular expressions and strings and the different types of numbers. They're not explaining anything like that. They're just explaining components essentially. And that part of the documentation from us should not link to MDN all the time. That part of the documentation, which is unique to Imba, needs to be written by us. But my great fear here is that until we get more contributors and more interest in the language, delaying everything is just a really bad idea, because the only result of that is that I will have more time to stumble and write all the documentation myself. And
so I don't think we agree on this, and we don't really need to agree on it. But like, I get what you're saying, and I think it's much more important to get great documentation than good enough. Like, at least if we want Imba to have an honest chance at becoming one of the big 3 frameworks, I think that's the right approach. But I'm not gonna push this religiously. At least, yeah.
But since you are, I agree with all of that. I agree that one of the biggest reasons that Imba 1 didn't get any attention at all, like didn't get off the ground, was the documentation and some obscure syntax.
So are we making the same mistake now again?
I think already it's a lot better, like at least with some polish and help from you guys. I think it will be much better than Imba 1. But I definitely think, like, especially since this is one of your main like interests, like this is what you're actually inspired about, like having great documentation. It would be very cool if you could start to modify the documentation that is now. and just
yeah, but like I also have responsibilities. I can't just sit down and just work on the docs all day long. I don't think
so
people
all
at
day
Scrimba
long
would
is
be
this.
happy about that.
So I'm the first things first. I'm the biggest shareholder in Scrimba and the CTO. So we have talked about this before. And the other thing, I'm not talking about all the time, but I'm talking about like spending some time on it. Like so far, there's Imba, the V2 site was live many months ago. And I agree with you that the documentation needs to be better, but I definitely do think that it has to be a team effort. And especially when there are so many seemingly low-hanging fruits that could be documented, then I would be very happy to see some contribution as well, like actual pull requests and contributions.
Can I ask some questions about docs here? So I kind of just was just waiting for kind of the document for like Imba 2 to settle a little bit. There's a lot that had been added since I started doing documentation. And it looks like it's settling now. And like what you have done with the handbook, I feel like it's pretty, so it's kind of redundant with a lot of what
I'm losing your audio now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So I'm realizing that a lot of the information that you've put on the handbook section, it's a bit redundant with what I was going to put in the guide section. So I don't feel like there's really a need for the guide section if I spend some time and just maybe add a little bit more to the handbook and just focus on that.
I agree. I think we should try to merge them, like make the handbook better. Like because I much prefer the writing style in your guides that you've written so far, because they are actually educational. You have thought through what you go through and in what order, because you had to learn it yourself. So I think it could be I really think it could be a good to merge them. And I guess that's a big job. I'm not sorry for the big rant here. I'm not like you've written a lot of documentation and really tried already. I was more thinking about like the I don't expect anyone to go in and easily make polished documentation about decorators, because they're basically just a hidden feature now, and they're not even documented enough for someone who want to write the documentation to learn about them. But things like the event modifiers and those parts could definitely be
I would do more on that, but it's a little bit beyond my understanding. So I need to read up on it. Maybe reading up Mozilla documentation, I can learn some about that, explain it myself. Might be over my head is that I have to go back and make sure I didn't explain anything wrong or in a weird way or inaccurately. So if you guys do like a little draft, I can then go through and then see if I get it, because if I get it, then any newcomer will get it. If I don't get it, then we're not explaining it well enough, because I'm a pretty rookie when it comes to a lot of this concept. So if I went through the handbook, should I edit on those documents or do that under the guide section, kind of pull in from the handbook and move it over to the handbook section, to the guide section?
I think you should actually write directly in the handbook section, I think. But I guess we also need to discuss more, like you can I think we should you could pull it into the handbook section.
Another question, are we able to link between documents? For example, like if I'm talking about, let's say functions, and then I mention classes or whatever, and I wanted to link to the classes page.
I think you should be able to
learn more about. So I just like an anchor or what? How would you do that in the markdown?
You can
an Imba tag.
No, just put an actual markdown link.
Okay.
I can send
the
you
route.
some. Yeah, to the route, to the correct route. That should be enough. And if it's not, then we can fix it. I'm sure.
V2 documentation locally the other day was not successful. I'll give it another
Yeah,
shot.
it's fixed now. It was
Okay.
actually a problem with the alpha version 17, I think, that bugged out on Node in some instances.
Okay. So great work, by the way.
Yeah.
I do think the V2 documentation is a bit more thorough than V1 was.
Yeah.
As is.
Yeah, but it's still chaotic, but it's better. And Alexander, like I know it's difficult to jump in and write the like huge parts of the documentation, but a good example is the getting started installation page. Like that's definitely something I think Alexander could take, or Eric or anyone else, I guess. But those parts are very important, and they're blank at the moment. So
yeah, we should definitely get more of the blank spots filled up. So
I can go ahead and do the introduction.
Yeah, please do. And one more topic that I just wanted to ask about. Like, I remember last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, I was trying the Imba template, and there were some build issues. Did those get resolved, Eric? Do you know?
You're saying you have some build. Actually, I haven't had issues. I mean, I just build to like Netlify and stuff, and I haven't had any issues. Like my apps.
Yeah, with the official Imba template. Like I thought I was trying to reproduce another bug, and then I just couldn't build the default. Like when you run git clone on the Imba template, and it wasn't building, or it was building with some random error. I
just started a project last night, and it was working fine with git clone. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're experiencing. I haven't had that.
Yeah, I'll check again.
It to the latest alpha, and when we upgrade it, we should also just make sure it works.
Yeah, I updated to alpha 70 last night.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was using older last time.
Yeah, now it's 71. So.
Cool. So let's start wrapping up, and yeah, good job on updating the VS Code extension. I look forward to updating now that we get rid of all the red colors. So
yeah, at least some of them. But one warning is that it's kind of worse for Imba 1 code right now, I think. But I'll try to do something about that in the same while I publish the Imba 1 packages and all that.
Yeah, that would really be nice, at least for us who have to be in Imba V1 code based on a daily basis. So
I think a hacky alternative for now, if it's so bad that it's better to use the old Imba extension, is to install VS Code Insiders or something as well, and use one for Imba 1 and the other.
I actually have it installed. It's a green logo compared to the blue one.
Yeah.
But I also fall back to the Sublime, which works great with Imba V1 code. Yeah. So
I'm actually having problems with Sublime, that it's crashing, and I think it has to do with some indexing stuff and the Imba syntax definitions or something. But yeah, it's great if you're not experiencing it.
No, I'm not seeing any issues with this. Only in Imba 2. I've accidentally opened Imba 2 code with Sublime a few times. And there you can see the syntax highlighting is broken. So are you going to update the Sublime plugin?
Yeah, but I think we need to... it seems to almost consistently crash for me after just using it for a few minutes when I use the same TM language syntax that we use in VS Code. So I will need to clean that up or implement it in the Sublime syntax format instead. Like
cool. Let's wrap up. So thanks for taking the time, and so is 2 weeks okay for you? In 2 weeks again?
Yeah, I guess.
Bi-weekly?
Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you.